So I'm just going to admit a few more people.
Anthony, I can let them in. You can just focus
Okay,
on.
thank you. So welcome to our 2026 FBA meeting on the travel side. This is our parent meeting. It's the first time we've ever, well, maybe during COVID we went online, but we tried this in person last year and it didn't have great attendance, so we figured we'd try this option. I know basketball has done this as well as some other sports. So appreciate that. I want to give a couple quick shout outs to Gina Brewmeister and Amy Morgan, who, if you know me, you know I can't make a slide deck or a PowerPoint, so they really helped me put this together. So I appreciate that and their efforts with that. So we will get going tonight. Just so you know, this is the FBA Board of Directors. Um, you'll hear from a couple of us tonight, and know that all of us, you can always go to our website and click on their name and send them an email through that. But these are the people, and we're 100% volunteer led. We're a nonprofit youth athletic association. I just really want to stress that our season really runs from tryouts through July 31st. So we're a seasonal organization. I guess you could say we start kind of March 1st. We had the pre-tryout night last night for the 9U, so next Wednesday we'll have it for 10s through 14s for those that have not tried out. But I appreciate everyone on this list and know that we're always looking for volunteers to get involved at every level. And but these are the people that help make this youth association run and provide baseball for your kids. So if you see them throughout the community, throughout the season, make sure you give them a shout out for that. So I want to talk about tryouts. So tryouts are coming up. We've done some emailing, communication around that. I just want to be clear on a couple of things. So fielding tryouts are Saturday, March 21st at the Dundas Dome in Northfield. And hitting tryouts are Sunday, March 22nd at True Players in Rosemount. And we will go in age order. So we will start with 9U and go all the way through 14U. Talked to the 9U parents last night. I anticipate we will release those times middle of next week would be my hope. Um, our age group times will release those middle of next week. And so just so everyone's clear, we'll probably get going with 9U on Saturday by 8, between 8, 8:15, 8:30, somewhere in there. Just prepared to be down there. And if you're have an older kid at 13 or 14U, they can sleep in and come a little bit later in the day. So hitting, same thing. We'll probably get going a little bit later on hitting, more like 8:30 with 9U on Sunday. Could be 8:15, somewhere in there. So and then just know that we will email it and be on our website. So for those of you that tried out last year, just want to talk about fielding tryouts a little bit. For those of you that tried out last year, you were given a tryout t-shirt. There were some great things about that. There were some not so great things. So we are returning to the numbering system. So your child will receive a number, uh, we'll write it on their hand. We have some board members and volunteers that are going to help. That will be their number for both fielding and hitting. So it's very important that they know that number. They yell it out when they get to each station. So and every player must participate in all scheduled tryouts. If you have, I know I got an email today, um, and I talked to a parent who unfortunately had a child get injured. Those things are going to happen. If your child is sick or hurt, you do need a doctor's note. So even on late Saturday, or excuse me, late Friday night, if you think I know there's a lot of junk going around, flu and stuff. So I would encourage you to go to urgent care and get a doctor's note for that. So it's in our parent player handbook, but just so everyone's clear that if you previously played travel and you have an excused absence like a illness, you are placed in the pick pool of where you played for your 2025 season. So if you played 12 AA and you're trying out for 13U and cannot participate, you broke your ankle, you're sick, whatever, your son will be placed in the 13 AA pick pool That does not mean he will play 13 AA. It means he will have the opportunity to be selected by the coach at that point. But they could um, fall to a lower team or even be cut. So just be aware of that. We do not have a makeup this year. I know there's been a lot of feedback about that. I think it's fair to give parents fair warning. We are going to move tryouts up in March. They could be as late or as early as the last week of February. We're going to do them on a Saturday, Sunday again. They could be early February or early March. So late February, early March. We recognize that that really impedes, with hockey and basketball. So we will have a makeup date next year. We'll bring that back. So. Uh, th- we got this question asked last night, and just as a reminder, FBA hats, like the one I'm wearing, will be handed out when your son arrives on the fielding tryout. So we really want them to only show up with their glove. If you've been in the Dundas Dome, when you walk right in, there's not a lot of room. When you walk in the dome, the area, there'll be a lot of high school kids to help. A lot of dads are going to volunteer and help. We do not have a lot of room for baseball bags, so we don't need 40 kids bringing in bats and baseball bags. So if you could send your son in with just a plain black t-shirt, that would be great. I got asked last night, like if somebody wants to wear a twin shirt or a Saint shirt, that's great. Um, we encourage baseball pants. They can wear sweats. Tennis shoes or turf shoes, no metal cleats are allowed on the dome surface or on the turf. And then their glove, obviously. And we just want no FBA affiliated or club shirts. So maybe your son works out at HTP. He got a t-shirt for their hitting program in the winter. We don't want to see that. If they played last year and they have their tryout shirt, don't wear that. And again, leave baseball bags at home. Hopefully it's a nice day out. When it has been nice, I know the parents just hang out in the parking lot and kind of talk to each other, but just parents are not allowed to watch tryouts. Um, and then for hitting, the same thing the next day. I will mention this. We used to have kids take a few swings. Like years ago, we had an area upstairs to warm up at True before they converted that to a restaurant slash the golf area. So if your kid wants to take a few swings into a bow net in the garage, I would encourage that. And then obviously they need a helmet and then an age-appropriate bat. And I will just note for 14U, we will check all bats, and it needs to be a drop five. If you're wondering if your kid's not is going to make a team or not, some parents wait to buy the drop five till after tryouts. That's totally appropriate. We will have a drop five bat at tryouts that they can use to hit with. So don't want parents spending money unnecessarily. So if we don't want you to pressure you into doing that, so but they will need a drop five bat. And then tennis shoes or turfs again for hitting no metal cleats. So, for those of you that have tried out in the past, this is very familiar. So we collected scores. So this is used 11 through 14U. So 11 through 14U, we collected scores from your coaching staff in the previous season. They were asked to provide a letter grade for each player. Um, And so they had to provide A's, B's, and C's. And we equate that to a score and we give them a pre-tryout score. So obviously the highest score would be a nine, would be A at AAA. A C at AAA equates to the same score as A at AA. And a C at AA is the same score as an A at the single A level. So that should be on our website. It should be in our parent player handbook of what those numbers actually are. So let's talk about evaluations. There will be two evaluators at each station. This year, again, we are using Elko New Market. Their town ball team, their 35 and older town ball team. So they have no affiliation with Farmington. They have a player or a gentleman who plays on their team who actually teaches at Dodge. And I've told him he can't come because he may know the kids. So um, we feel like this is a really good format we've used for a number of years now. We collect the scores. They're completely just tied to your son's tryout number. No, there's no names. We have an independent person enter those scores who does not see the names. and then the scores are emailed back to three or four of us at the same time. So they're, we try to keep the integrity of the data. So, and again, 100% of the tryout score will consist of outside evaluators. Um, and for 9U and 10U, we don't have a pre-tryout score. We just use tryouts directly, their tryout score directly. So. Coach selection. We are in the middle of coaches interviews. We started them this past Monday. We're going to do some more tomorrow night, and we're going to do some more Monday night. So, any person who desires to be a head coach and assistant coach must submit and fill out a coaching application. I'd say, the primary selection criteria that we use is past baseball coaching and playing experience, as well as coaching in other sports, human development, philosophies, organizational, moral, ethical characters. It's all there. You guys can read it. And the head coach candidates are evaluated and then ranked by the tryout committee. And the tryout committee, just so everyone's very clear, is myself, Christy Craner, who is the co-chair of FBA, our assistant travel director, Ryan Johns, and Adam Simon, who's our travel director, or our trout director, and Brandon Chant, who's our assistant trout director. So us five really conduct the interviews, and then we rank head coaches. And I always say this that the kids really select the head coach, meaning um, if we feel like the best head coaching candidate in age group is Bill Smith, but his kid finishes 19th, he's not going to be the AAA head coach. But if we feel like the best coach, and I can give you an example because he's not in the association anymore. Years ago, there was an age group that had a really, really good baseball coach, and his kid did not lock, but he was always in the top uh, eight, nine. We didn't lock eight back then; we locked six, but his kid was always eight or nine, and we selected him to be the AAA coach because we felt like he was the most qualified person to be the coach in that age group, and his kid was in a range where we felt comfortable that he was a AAA baseball player. And then the head coach selects the assistant coaches. So I say this in every coaching interview I've done this year so far. We appreciate everyone signing up to head coach or assistant coach. There will be people that sign up that do not get selected. That's nothing personal. There are many ways to volunteer within Farmington baseball, and don't take it personally if you're not selected to coach this year. Things could change next year. Things could, excuse me, as kids move different levels. There's some grades that are heavy in coaching, and there's some other grades that are lighter in coaching. So um, it just really depends. So that's how coach selection works. Happy to answer any questions if you want to email over the weekend about that. Um, so we have had this in the past, coach selection. There are some age groups that don't have a head coach. So um, if we are not cutting kids, we will uh, we will post teams without a head coach. We will just take the those 12 scores. So this really only comes into play at the at the A level because we have to pick kids at triple A and double A. I mean, if we don't have a triple or double A coach, we will email the entire age group before we release teams and say we need a coach. But otherwise, we will post teams. We did it a couple years ago, or maybe even last year. I know there was some pushback. We posted I think, our A teams at one level with no head coach, and we'll work with you. We'll just tell the whole team they have 5 days to come up with a head coach, or we'll disband the team and refund registration minus the tryout fee. So. Um, I think because that happened last year, we've gotten a lot of coaching applications. So I think we're hopefully going to be good on that. So the team formation process, I just want to remind people that I'm going to give credit where credit's due. I stole this from the Edina Travel website for their baseball team, is that your kid is evaluated based on how they try out on these 2 days. Your kid might be Shohei Ohtani during the week. But they're evaluated on, or they're placed on a team on how they try out on these 2 days, March 21st and 22nd. And players will be placed on teams based on their own merits. So I know there's always these rumors or side talk that like kids are chosen because they know the coach or they're fishing buddies with the coach. I always use that example, nothing against fishing, but or they play hockey or they're neighbors, but that's not how it really works. So the top 8 kids are locked at every level. So I'll just take 14s for example, because so we'll take the top 8 scores at 14U, and those kids are automatically in 14 AAA. It's not even a negotiation. And then we call in the head coach, and they are able to select. Um, Generally, it's four. It says three. We do have teams of 11 at times, but they can look at kids 9 through 18, and they can select 3 to 5 kids, kids 9 through 18. Now, even though we have that on there, I've been in the team selection room for a number of years, and I cannot tell you a time kid number 18's ever been taken on AAA. I don't think we've gone past 15 in most years. The coach has to give a really good reason. Um, I'm a dad. My kid played travel baseball once. We're all parents. We would not want our kids skipped unless there was a really good reason why we're skipping 3 or 4 kids. So the coach really has to make a case to the entire committee that's in the room. And then this process will continue until all teams within a specific age group are selected. So in this example, after the 14 AA coach, or excuse me, after the 14 AAA coach does team selection, we will lock the next 8 kids, and we'll call the AA coach in and repeat that process. So, and head coaches will only see the tryout score. And so they get to see the true tryout score as well as, like at 14U, they get to see the true tryout score as well as the tryout score with the PTS. So the overall score, the pre-tryout score. They get to see those scores and group rankings only for their specific age and playing level. So it's not like we have a document that just shows all 5 age groups and all 225 kids trying out. So we try to keep that as confidential as possible. So players that do not make a team will be notified before teams are posted. I think I said this last year, but um, in past years, unfortunately, we posted teams way too late, and I recognize kids had trouble falling asleep. They were disappointed. I said this at the 9U meeting last night. I know especially at 9U, a lot of kids don't have phones, but I recognize up through all the ages, some kids have phones, some kids don't have phones. So we will not release them during the school day. We will release them between the hours of like 4, 5, and 8 p.m. So to that I will say, like I told the 9U parents last night, our philosophy is that we really, really believe that you should have that conversation with your child about what team they made. Maybe they've never played AAA and they've worked really, really hard and they finally made AAA. I think it's the parents should have that conversation with them. Same thing if a kid is moving from AA to single A. I don't want them hearing that from a friend or a buddy or another parent. So, um, having said that, our goal is to have them done by Tuesday, 8 o'clock. We will start picking teams Sunday after tryouts, after hitting tryouts. We'll come back Monday. We'll probably start at like 4 or 5 o'clock in the afternoon. But I don't anticipate getting done Monday by 8 o'clock. So we'll roll it to Tuesday. So we have a 24-hour rule. Most sports in Farmington do this. I've been texted within 15 seconds of teams being released from frustrated parents, and we just ask that you don't communicate with any board members because we're not going to respond to you at all. So you can be as frustrated as you can be. Um, I'd like to ask you to do one step further. I'd like you to wait 24 hours and be frustrated as a parent. And then I'd actually like you to have a conversation with your kid. Sometimes I think we find out that we're bothered by something, but our kid may not be. And your kid might come to you and be like, yeah, I don't love being on 12A this year, but 3 kids from my math class are on the team. And so I'm really excited about playing with those 3 kids. So, and then if you do have questions, we're only going to discuss areas of improvement around your player. So we don't discuss scores. We're not going to discuss if you call us and say, hey, my son's better than Billy, that can be your opinion. That might be fact. It might not. We're not going to discuss Billy. We're only going to talk about areas of improvement where your kid can get better. And then team selections are final and they're not up for discussion. So, um, and there's a great thing in here, it's not your job or your player's job to share team placements either. So, I think in past years, I know kids are on the TikTok and the snapper or whatever that thing is, um, social media. So let's not be sharing those things on social media or getting them out because again, I believe parents should be the ones communicating that with their children. So all of our coaches, and I mentioned this in our coaches meeting, but I just want to help reassure parents. All of our coaches go through a rigorous background check through trusted coaches who we've worked with out of Fridley, Minnesota for a number of years. They'll have to pass a yearly background check, do concussion education, first aid training, child safety. There's a couple rules governed by the state of Minnesota and federal rules around child safety. So, any parent who's going to be in the dugout is required to complete this training. Gina Brewmeister's helped me in the past. She helps track this. I think it'll be Kathy who helps me track it this year. We will hound you as coaches, and just know that your parents or your coaches will not be allowed in the dugout until they've completed this training. So, it's all done online, but just know we take child safety very, very seriously. Practices and games. So Kayla, who was on this call, Kayla, I started on the board years ago as the scheduling director, and I was terrible at it. And Christy Craner did it, and she made it amazing. And Kayla's taking it to a whole nother level. So I know there's been some frustration in the last couple of years. We've had a lot of rain. Obviously, there's nothing we can do about rain. Just so everyone knows, we are losing Lost Ball. Lost Ball is becoming a skate park in a couple weeks, or at least they're starting the construction. So I guess technically, I think that's Rambling River 3 is Lost Ball. So that's primarily a 9U and 10U field. We are losing that field. So I mentioned this in the coaches meeting. If your kid hit a home run out there, bring or wants to hit a home run, I'd bring them out there quickly and have them hit a home run because that is going away. They're going to begin construction on a new skate park. The city is. So practices will begin. So our goal, if we get teams done on Tuesday, is to give everybody one practice either on Wednesday or Thursday. So this would be March 25th and 26th would be our goal. My philosophy behind that is two reasons. One, we have the dates when I get practice. They're likely to be inside. We do have some gym space reserved. It could be at CA Gear. A, I want coaches to get the parents meeting done and talked about. And two, I think it helps with the sting a little bit. I actually had a parent reach out to me last year who was pretty upset about the team they made or disappointed. And the parent was pretty upset, and they came back and apologized in June and said, my kid had a great year. He made new friends and he found out there were like three kids from Riverview on his team. I'm just making up the school. I'm not saying it was a Riverview parent, but so I think the sooner we can have practice, the sooner it's maybe easier on the kids um, that they have that. And then because we have a later spring break this year, and in corresponding to when we have trials, spring break will start Monday, April 30th for Farmington. We will have no practices that week. None, zero. We really want to promote family, promote getting away. If you're, if you and or if your son's on a team and there's four kids around and it's 60 degrees outside or 70, and they want to go to Aiken Elementary and play catch, they can. There will be no organized practice at all that week. We will not be renting fields. We will not be renting gym space. There will be nothing. So we will get going the week of April 6th. So spring break kind of leads into Easter, and then Easter is the 5th. We will get going April 6th. So in a typical week means as long as we're inside, I will say this, if we're inside the week of April 6th, which is the past 3 years, that's the way it's been, you will get two practices. We try to do three. A typical week will consist of Monday through Friday, and you'll get three baseball events, which is a combination of practices and league games. But as long as we're inside, just due to cost the amount of gym space, and the availability and cost of True and stuff, you'll only get two until we get outside. So I really believe we will get outside by the 13th of April, hopefully, right? We're all crossing our fingers. So we play through Metro Baseball League out of Burnsville, MBL. And games can begin as early as Monday, April 20th. And I talked to our coaches about this in our coaches meeting. I highly, highly, highly encourage every team to play 3 games in April. Um, I know people hesitate to do that because they feel like their team's not ready. We're not playing Hawaii. So if it's been raining in Farmington, it's been raining in Burnsville and Apple Valley and Rosemount too. So we're all in the same boat. So I would, otherwise you just get games backed up and you just get two backed up once you get into June. So it could be a little chilly. So and then just so you know, I think everyone's aware of this. We probably won't get Empire till early, middle of May. Even Empire is a little bit more protective of their fields than the school is, and even the city. So we'll work on that. So attendance, I'll just touch on this. Um, I get kids play club baseball in the spring. Um, if they miss a Friday practice to go to Iowa, it's not the end of the world. But once the season really gets going, if nobody should be double rostered between a club team. I think we had one last year I wasn't aware of. So, um, but unexcused absences could see a result in a reduction of playing time, especially at the older ages. So just communicate. We understand. We work with the school district. We know there's a fifth and eighth grade band concert and choir concerts. We get unfortunately family members pass away during the season. There's weddings, there's graduations. We get all that. It's just about really communicating with your head coach around that. So tournaments, each team is registered for 3 tournaments. We tried to ensure about the Gopher bids and MBT. Just know that Gopher bids have become less and less. There will be some teams that did not get into a tournament that have a Gopher bid. We will release all the tournaments after team selection. Um, hopefully either right before spring break or right after. So, um, and just know that tournaments are, it's really hard to get tournaments. Ryan and I were at the travel directors meeting in February, and someone said, like right before COVID, you used to be able to get tournaments in April, and most tournaments were full now by Thanksgiving. So it's a lot of work to get tournaments, especially when we don't know about teams and stuff. So a lot of teams, if you're able to find one, you can pick up an extra tournament at your own cost. And we'll talk about state tournaments in a minute, but just if your team does qualify for a state tournament, which are in July, that cost is to be split amongst the parents, unless you can get a sponsor. So, um, obviously, rain has been a huge issue the last couple of years. If your tournament's rained out, we will do everything we can to get that your team. If you're on 9AA and you're playing in Owatonna, that tournament gets washed out. We'll do every effort to get that tournament or to find you another tournament, but it really will be hard, and we will not give refunds for missed tournaments due to weather. So this year there's only 2 state tournaments. Some of you that have been around may be familiar with MYS. That tournament no longer exists. So there are only 2 state tournaments. MBT, which is um, Metro Baseball tournaments, and then Gopher State MYAS. So those are the two bids you're going after. And so again, we've registered you for 3. You generally have to finish in the top. Well, no, you have to finish in the top 2. Some tournaments you have to win it to get a Gopher bid, and later in the year, sometimes the MBT bids can drop as far as 4th place. But don't risk it. Just go out there and win. So. Some tournaments have open bids to them or like at large. Again, that cost is on the parents and the coach can apply for that. So they also have playoffs. I don't know if we have a slide for playoffs, but I'll talk about playoffs. Playoffs are there. Two, it's a great chance to get extra games in. We will provide field and umpires for that if you're hosting a playoff game. So that's all free of charge. We'll take care of that. So a big thing around fair play, competitive play. I'm trying to find a better name for it because I think if you've ever been to a second grade baseball tournament, I think I actually call that the most competitive thing that we do in Farmington baseball. I think every level is competitive. Every level is trying to develop. I really want to reiterate here that we are, yes, every team wants to win, but we really want to develop kids. We really want to see kids developed. Um, in the next couple of weeks, we're gonna email out and post to our YouTube page an interview with Coach John Graff, our varsity coach. He spoke to at our coaches meeting on February 28th. If you were there, or if you know someone that was there, you could ask them about it. He did a great job of just talking about development and how, like, overall, our philosophy is 9s through 11s. We want 12 catchers, 12 pitchers, 12 shortstops, 12 first basemen, 12 of everything. And then 12 through 14s, we want you to have an infield position, so kind of dirt and grass, an outfield position, an infield position. And we still want as many kids to pitch as possible. Um, I'll use my own kid's grade as an example. As little as like 3 years ago, there were probably 11 catchers in the grade that actually own their own catcher's gear. I think at 13 or 14 U, we had 11 catchers, maybe more, and we're down to two catchers in the whole grade. So you never know how things change. And so we want kids to be developed. And but fair play, let's just read this through. So fair play is just the batting order. Let's talk about batting order a little bit. So in league games, we want kids to move around in the batting order. Um, and I would say, well, I'll talk about this in a second. Um, so our goal is to have the same number of plate appearances at the end of the year. We did something new last year where we made every coach add FBA as a admin to their game changer. So we would watch game changer and kind of see how many at bats kids were getting. If you're getting one less at bat per game uh, around other kids, that adds up to be, 5, 6, 7 games by the end of the year. It can be a lot. Um, so we want kids moving around. Infield, outfield, bench positions. Kids should sit no more than 2 innings on the bench per game. Um, and players who are given, wishing an opportunity to pitch should be given opportunity. And I would say, even if that's in practice, right? I remember years ago when my kid played 9U, I think we made a huge stride in 3 kids that were scared to pitch in games, and they never made it to games, but we got them on the mound by the end of the year in practice. And one of them ended up becoming one of the best pitchers in the grade because he did it at tens in a game then. And then he really fell in love with it. So, we understand some kids are not ready to pitch, catch, or play first base. We understand that that might be a safety issue, and that's fine, but we want those kids in practice really working on that. Whether it's even as simple as using a tennis ball at first base so they're not as scared. And maybe they really learn that position and become really good at it someday. So competitive play, we are going to let every age, this is new, we're going to let every age, every team, every level play competitive play at tournaments. But what this does not mean, it does not mean that little Billy is the shortstop for all 4 innings that he plays, or that Timmy actually sits 4 innings because you don't think he's a very good fielder, and he's like, we're trying to win this, so he's just going to sit the whole game. And it also does not mean like, and I told the coaches this, like if you've gone 0-2 in a tournament, you need to go play fair play because you've already tried competitive play and it didn't work for that tournament, which is fine. You're 0-2. So there might be some tweaking to this throughout the season, but based on parents' feedback, coaches' feedback, I'm not going to lie to you what other associations are doing, and we get it, and we're okay with it. We get that there are associations out there that will play the same 2 kids at first base the whole season at 10 years old. We are not going to do that. We are here to develop kids, have kids have a good experience. So, um, and then I would say the big thing is if you have to sit, we've told coaches like you can have a competitive play batting order, but you really need to make it up during the week. So if Billy bats 8, 9, and 10 over the weekend, he should bat 2, 3, and 4 in your league games, either before the tournament or after the tournament. So we'll be watching that. We will have a face-to-face conversation when we do team selection. And Brandon Chant, who's on vacation right now, he was going to speak to this, but he's going to really meet with every head coach and go over this more in depth at team selection. So I just wanted to share that with parents tonight that that's what we're moving to for league or for tournaments, and that includes state tournaments as well. Um, some of this is really obvious, but we have to go over it. It's that when you register your child, you agree to the FBA Code of Conduct. We don't want alcohol at theft, fighting. A couple of things that have become an issue is umpires. So I'd say there's three things I really want to talk about. Umpires. Umpires continue to be off limits. Coach Graff has a great saying. It's not called the strike zone. It's called the ump zone. And the ump's going to make a mistake. I umpire some baseball games. Some of you have had me, and you're like, yes, you're definitely made mistakes. Um, But just like umpires are going to make mistakes, kids are going to make mistakes, coaches are going to make mistakes. We all need to be forgiving and recognize that we're a volunteer run organization. So umpires continue to be off limits. I've not heard of a lot of Farmington people getting umpires in recent years, so that's been great. I'd say the second thing is that they're really trying to address at the MBL level is chatter from the dugout. So once the pitcher engages with the rubber, the Farmington rule now is the dugout must stop chanting or cheering or yelling. It doesn't have to be a library, right? But we're not here to have a kid walk because we rattled the pitcher by chanting his name. And I know you see it in the College World Series all the time. I get it. That's college baseball. It's not going to be FBA. And the third thing that we have had an issue of recently is we need parents to stay out of dugouts, just to be very honest. If you're not a coach, you're a parent that day, and your job is to support the team, support your kid. If there's an emergency, you know, something happened with grandma, we're going to take Billy out of the game. Yeah, you can certainly get the coach's attention and be like, hey, we're physically leaving the game. But our coaches are I think well equipped to involve parents when we need parents, whether it's an injury or other issues. But we just need parents to stay out of dugouts and not talk to kids during games, um, and that includes on the field and in the dugout. So if your coach has shifted your kid to a certain position and or a certain spot on the field, and you don't think that's a great position, that's a conversation that should happen after the game after 24 hours. You shouldn't be yelling at your kid on what to do on the field. We should just be encouraging our players to do that. So violations of that, we will address those as they come around. So uh, along the same lines of parent player conduct and communication, there's a couple of steps in here that we have. And so again, we're going to use the 24-hour rule unless it's a safety issue. So if your kid comes home with uh, a legal or a safety complaint, obviously we don't want you waiting 24 hours, right? You could contact me directly. You should actually contact your age level coordinator directly, maybe copy me on it. They know they'll get in touch with me. After 24 hours, so like I'll give you a great example. Say you're playing Northfield one night and your son only got 2 innings at shortstop or in the infield, and he got 3 innings in the outfield, and that's just eating at you. Or he hit number 7 that night. Go talk. So wait 24 hours. Um, but talk to your son about it. Talk to your player about it. Maybe he doesn't. Maybe it really doesn't bother him. Maybe he asked to hit 7 that night because he just felt more comfortable there. Maybe he wanted to play more left field that night. Maybe he needed to take a break. So go talk to your player. Again, it goes back to my comment about where your tryouts, where your kid lands. And then have a conversation with the head coach. And I would say any advice I could give on this would be have a conversation with your head coach, probably not 5 minutes after the game. Maybe text your coach during the day if it's not a non-game day and be like, hey Anthony, could I grab you for 5 minutes after practice tonight? And I would encourage you not to do that in front of the players as well. Um, if it gets resolved, great. That's what we want. We want issues. We know issues are going to arise, and we recognize that. And we want you to resolve those with the head coach directly. If you still feel like they haven't been resolved, that's great. There's 6 names here, so wherever your child falls, you should go to the FBA website and under board, you can click on their name and send them an email and kind of explain to them what's going on. They will reach out to you. So for 9U, it's Jamie Schmody. If you have a 10U, it's Amy Morgan. If you have an 11U, it's Kathy Holcomb. 12U, Adam Simon. 13U, Lynn Heidelberg. 14U, Megan Tesmer. And if you'll notice, all those people do not have a kid in that grade. So even though you may know them, they're going to be not biased. They'll get myself and Ryan and Christy and Andrew Roberts, our assistant community director. They'll get us involved as needed. Um, on that. So hopefully everyone can find that. And we will communicate once teams are made. We will have the coaches communicate out. Maybe you got a screenshot of this too, but who your age coordinator is. So I'm gonna get some water and hand this over to Kathy Holcomb, we've changed some stuff around dibs. And Kathy, if you want to speak to that, that would be amazing.
Okay. All right. I'll give you a little break from Anthony quick. I'll try to keep it short. But again, yeah, I'm Kathy Holcomb. I'm the volunteer director. I'll try to keep it short. Just to kind of walk you through the process. If you guys all remember when you were at the uniform try-on night, you all should have turned in a $500 volunteer check. If you decided to opt out, you would have submitted a $300 per player opt-out check instead. Again, I just want to stress, nothing happens with that $500 volunteer check. It's just held on. We hold it in file, and then once you complete your volunteer hours, it's destroyed. If you have not submitted your $500 volunteer check yet, please make sure that you do. Players will not be allowed to practice until the volunteer check has been submitted. And like Anthony did say, there have been, I will say, there have been some changes with the requirement this year. The biggest thing is we did move back the hour requirement. The new requirement is 4 volunteer credits per player. And then we are maxing that out with 6 credits per family if you have more than 1 player participating. This applies to both travel and community players. And it starts at first grade on up. We're giving the kindergarten families a break. There's going to be a lot of ways to earn those credits. Obviously, if you're coaching, that's going to satisfy your volunteer hours. Some teams will choose to bring on a team manager. There can be up to 4 per team, so a combination of coaches and team manager or a team manager. Other opportunities are going to be, we're going to have opportunities for spring setup. At the end of the season, there's going to be fall cleanup. There's going to be have a couple shifts during picture night, community parent nights. We're going to need some people helping out with that. But the majority of the volunteer shifts are going to come during our hosted tournaments in terms of working concessions and field prep. The one thing I do want to stress, because it has caused some confusion in the past, and that's the items that are not eligible for volunteer credits. Um, and that is raking or basically that field prep, and that's during just regular league games. And also, if you're keeping stats or doing game changer, those items are not eligible for volunteer credits. Um, if you want to go on to the next one, Anthony. Most of the voluntary opportunities, like I said, are going to come from the hosted tournaments. The biggest opportunity is going to be the barn burner event. That is going to be May 8th through May 10th. So if you want to actually maybe write that down, or at the very least keep that in the back of your head, that is Farmington Baseball's largest fundraiser of the year, and it takes a lot of help to keep that running smoothly in terms of concessions and field work. We are anticipating needing up to 170 volunteer shifts that weekend. And we'll try to get them posted as soon as we possibly can. Obviously, we're subject to getting the tournament schedule done, but keep an eye on your email as we get close to that event. And like I said, we'll try to get those shifts sent out as soon as possible so you can get signed up for them. There's going to be a lot of opportunities that weekend. And if you can't volunteer that weekend, there are going to be other opportunities. We do host other tournaments in June. We've got community tournaments where there's going to be field work opportunities, concessions. And then in July, we also host a Gopher State tournament, some more opportunities there. So that's pretty much about it. I mean, we couldn't run this association without volunteers, so we do appreciate everything you do to pitch in. And I will kick it back to Anthony.
Thank you, Kathy. I will add in, we are likely hosting a 9A tournament. NBL is moving to 9A. So the following weekend, just a Saturday, Sunday, a small tournament at Dodge, the weekend after Mother's Day. So, and I would also add that I know in the past we understand some people work at jobs that they're able to hop on the internet, and other people work jobs where they cannot hop on the internet. So we will release shifts in waves, meaning like we might do it at 9 a.m. For those people, we might do it at 9 p.m. or 7 p.m. for those that work a job that they're not able to get um, on the computer during the day. So we're aware of that. And then again, there'll be community tournaments. Some of those are actually during the week, some will be on the weekends, but we want to give everybody an opportunity to get their dibs in. I will mention that Rosemount actually has you coach and do your dibs. Apple Valley does 10 hours of hosting. I work with a coworker who has a son in Apple Valley. So we've looked around, we've tried, admittedly, we don't host as many tournaments as Apple Valley Rosemount. That's why we don't need as many hours, but we hope that everyone can get their hours in. So uniforms and equipment. I think everyone's done uniform try-on night. The uniforms are being printed as we speak. The FBA hats are being printed as we speak. So we need white pants with black piping, belts and a sock, molded cleats for 9 through 12s. You can use spikes at 13s, although just know that there are some associations with portable mounds that do not allow metal cleats. And bats. I was just talking to someone the other night around bats. We want kids swinging an appropriate bat. We'll come up with some guidelines with that in an email. It might be too late for this year. I saw a young child the other night swinging a 32-inch bat. Um, we have high school players who don't swing a 32-inch bat yet, so we want them in a bat that is age appropriate. And so we follow the MBT bat rules or MBO bat rules that can be found on their site as well. Cancellation at this point, I think everyone's in, but there's just some rules around our cancellation, and no refunds will be granted after trials and team selection. I think everyone knows where our website is. And follow us on social media. There's our email address. And then I want to go into team leveling. So as a board, we voted in February at our February board meeting around team leveling. How we get to team leveling, I'd say there's I'd say there's four things that really drive our team leveling. A is registration. Um, there used to be many groups within Farmington that had, not many, there used to be a handful of groups that had four teams, and no age group will have four teams this year. So our numbers are just down in travel baseball. It's true across the country, as I've said this in the past, but lacrosse has become a huge sport. Volleyball this year is just become a varsity sport. Um, so that will draw some kids away. Um, I'd say the second thing that drives how we do team leveling would be how the team performed the previous year. And that's not just record. I mean, their record goes into this, but we get feedback from parents, from coaches. Did we feel like the team was at the right level? Um, you could go 0 and 30, but if you lost every game by one run, you're probably at the right level. Um, I'd say the third thing we do is we really talk to Metro Baseball League. They're really a good partner of ours. I talk to Brian Monahan a lot. And I talked to him about, hey, this is what this team experienced. Is it time to move up? Is it time to move down? Are we in a good spot? And then we do talk to other associations. I'm good friends with the travel director in Rosemount, Justin Kelly. I talked to Apple Valley. I talked to Northfield. Um, I talk to people as far as Rogers and Blaine about stuff and just say, hey, this is our situation. What would you do in this situation? So we kind of get advice. And so these are the teams that the board voted on and how many players are trying out at each thing or at each age. So at nines, we have 29 players trying out. We will do two even teams. When I say even, we will snake draft those. So for those of you that are familiar with fantasy football, we'll bring in two head coaches and we will lock 16 kids, eight on each team, and then we will have them draft the rest of the teams. At 10U, our top team will be double A, and we'll have two single A teams, and those two teams will be even as well. At 11U, we'll do triple, double, single. At 12U, we will do double, single, single. Our single A's will be even. At 13U, we will do triple, double, single. At 14U, we will do triple, double, single as well. So the players' registered numbers maybe tweaked a little bit since we've done this, and maybe we've had a kid or two register, a kid or two drop out. I know we've had some injuries occur for sure since we've done this. So, but that's around team leveling. And then again, this is just the board and what they're all responsible for. I want to just say this is not the Anthony Hilden thing. It is all of us at FBA, everyone here plays a huge role in this. Some of these names are pretty familiar. Our treasurer, who is our longest running board member, I think he's on his 14th year. I doubt anyone on this call even knows him, but he does an amazing job and is passionate. He doesn't even have a kid in high school anymore. He's got kids out of college and he still does this. So I appreciate what Brian does. I am going to switch back to the camera here just to talk about a couple things I missed or we didn't have slides for, which are great. Last year, we partnered with the varsity program and had youth night, and it was a huge success from the varsity coaches' perspective and the kids. We will do it again this year. It is against Eastview on May 6th. So if you want to write that down, May 6th is the youth night. Every kid who comes will get a poster. We'll get a pack of baseball cards. We'll do some giveaways again. Um, Hopefully the team wins because they'll be in a really good mood and want to sign autographs for the kids. We know the kids love that. And that is on May 6th. The other thing I want to mention is we've gotten away from this, and we need to get back to doing it more. But the Miracle League, which there is, if you've been over to King Park, there's a Miracle League field over there. Um, And so I'm gonna talk to each coach again. I talked about it at the coaches night about Miracle League. I want to get everyone involved in the Miracle League, and I will say this to you: I talked about it at the coaches meeting, and a coach came up to me after and he said, "Hey, thank you for driving Farmington kids back to the Miracle League. I have a kid that will play travel baseball this year in Farmington, hopefully. I also have a kid who's in the Miracle League." And so that really just touched me a lot that we are able to give back, and I think it helps kids learn perspective when we do that. So those are the two things I'd written down. I would say another thing I want to really reiterate tonight is that we put it in our parent player handbook that if you do have a complaint or a concern or an idea, some of our best ideas have come from parents. We encourage you to have a conversation with a board member. We are trying to limit how much board member time is taken up because we're all volunteers. But we also have a public forum at board meetings. So if you email Christy Craner and myself, um, 48 hours in advance of a board meeting, you can come to any public board meeting and get 5 minutes. We're not going to engage with you, but if you have some ideas, I think we had some people in the fall come and share an idea that they had. One of the ideas we're hoping to implement actually came from a parent that was at a board meeting 2 years ago, and we're just trying to implement it now. We're going to try to do like the buddy system with the varsity program and provide sophomores and juniors that just got done playing high school baseball. We're going to try to assign them to each travel team. So they will come to a couple games or a couple practices and just help out. And that actually came from a parent that came to a parent meeting. So don't, or that came to a board meeting that spoke publicly. So it's just not about people who have a grievance or who have a complaint. It's our public forums there to share ideas. So with that, we're right about an hour, and I promised everyone an hour. So we will send out this recording. I appreciate everyone hopping on tonight. And if you have any further questions, feel free to email us. Good night, everyone. Thank you.